just take us back in history. This dates back to the 80s, really, the 90s, when technology CEOs really started to make their feelings and money known in politics.
Hi, Caroline. Yes, our current age of tech really began in the 1980s with the arrival of the desktop computer. And then in the 1990s, e-commerce took off, and now we're in sort of the third act of this age in terms of AI and, of course, the space race. But from the very start, from the 1980s, Silicon Valley's players, many of whom are still the same today as they were then, so people like starting with Steve Jobs and right through to Bezos and Musk, started becoming politically active in the 1980s and engaging with government in terms of the kind of changes they wanted in terms of regulation, investment, and also the idea of government as a customer.
I suppose what potentially has changed here is that one of them might well take a very leading role in an administration if indeed Trump does get in. I'm talking about Elon Musk. But moreover, we're getting more transparency about their roles. Is that because of the way they're self-identifying, or is that because of the age of social media? Are we able to find these things out?
I think it's because, well, we have people like Elon Musk being sort of particularly flamboyant in terms of their approach. I mean, with the $1 million lottery, where there's been so much focus on the $1 million. But actually, I think it's great to have that because we are now seeing the power of tech, which was sort of previously, I think, existed. I mean, the PayPal mafia kind of functioned as very much with the sort of oath of silence or omerta in terms of their political views, and we've seen those actually coming out now, and just how much people like Musk can influence narratives, and not just through money, but in terms of how they think about the economy, and of course how Musk has also been thinking about issues like immigration and voter fraud.
Now, in your research, have you found specific evidence that an endorsement from a technology leader like Musk or an appeal from leaders in technology to actually go out and vote translates to that action by the electorate and the voting base?
I think it does have some impact. The very first Silicon Valley election took place in 1992, when Clinton actually went out to woo Silicon Valley because he wanted the Democrats to be seen as a pro-business, pro-tech party. And the endorsement that Silicon Valley gave him just, I think, 3 weeks ahead of that election did actually help in terms of shifting the mood somewhat. But of course, at that point, he was already ahead in the polls. So I think it does help in some way in terms of boosting the candidates' credentials. And we've seen that happening this time with both Kamala Harris and Trump vying for Silicon Valley endorsements.
Now, do you believe that technology is a priority for both campaigns in this election?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that when we have candidates competing for Silicon Valley votes and endorsements, it means that actually it's a win-win for Silicon Valley, irrespective of whether it's Trump or Kamala Harris who ends up in the White House.
I think just broadly, we need to just think about ultimately whether the electorate, do you think, has that transparency, that knowledge that with endorsements, with hitting the campaign trail, there might well be positives for the companies that they run in the later half of the administration?
I think all of us are becoming much more aware of the power of big tech. I mean, we've now been living in the age of tech for the last 40 years. So I think, yes, the electorate is beginning to pay more attention. And when we have people like Musk making the kind of statements they do, in a way, he's helped add to the need for more transparency and has made the process more transparent, in fact, inadvertently.